Speaking of challenging for titles, Don.
Oh, here we go.
That Don, 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 Don. It won't be Thong, but Thong Don. The Thong Don. Don Luginal reckons that Chelsea should be looked at as a top team in the league now. So since Boxing Day, they're the third best team in the league. He thinks they're the third best team in the league. He spoke earlier on the season about maybe being title contenders if everybody stays fit. They're now looking at Jackson, who's one of the best non-penalty goal scorers in the Premier League. Have we all misjudged Chelsea? Are they a much better team, LB, than you gave them credit for at the beginning of the season? And should we be looking at them as a cert for Champions League and maybe an outsider for a title push?
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not, man. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, have some respect. Have some respect, man, for the likes of City, Arsenal, Liverpool. Yeah, them three teams, we are certified. You want to talk about certified top four? Them three teams are certified top four. They're the only three teams in this league this season that are certified top four. Yeah. So to say Chelsea is certified top four, that means you've got a certified whole top four. That means everybody knows, yeah, what the top four is going to be. So if I said to you, put all your life savings on City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea being in the top four, you wouldn't do it. Whether you wouldn't do it, that means it's not certified. Yeah, Chelsea have a good chance of getting top four. I still think they're going to miss out because they didn't get a striker. I think they can get it if their attacking players fire on all cylinders. Yeah, but I think come the end of the season, lack of a striker will cost them. I'm not saying they can't get top four. I just don't think they will because of that striker issue. They're playing very well, yeah, but to say they're the third best team in the country, yeah, is ridiculous. You have some respect for Liverpool, City, and Arsenal, will you? Come on, man, what are we doing here? They're playing good. Yeah, they're doing all right. They're probably exceeding expectations. Let's not get carried away with ourselves here. Yeah, they still have some mid players in that team. They have some very good players. They still have some mid players in that team. And I'm not convinced come the end of the season they will be in the top four because I think they just missed that clinical striker. I think I've got them fifth now. I got them fifth. But to say the certified top four is, I think, ridiculous.
I echo everything that LB has just said. Listen, I like Don a lot. I think Don is a brilliant person, and I share a lot of content with him. And I listen to a lot of what Don says, and I think, okay, yeah. And then he'll say something, and I'll go, why have you done that? Why do that? Why say something so crazy like that? Look, I actually like some of his takes. I think he's a really good lad. And I actually do think that some of the stuff he said has actually come to fruition. But they're not in a title race. They're not going to win the league. They are a goalkeeper and a striker away from guaranteeing themselves in the top four. If they had an Osimhen or an Diego Costa in goal, let's say, I might look at things differently and think, you know what? Yeah, I do fancy the chances for Champions League and making them win a trophy. I just think that they are going to be let down by Sanchez and let down by Jackson. And people might think that's crazy and I'm muddied because he scored a couple of goals against West Ham. Let's not forget that West Ham was shambolic, by the way. And Jackson deserves his plaudits at the weekend. But I've seen him at Bournemouth the game later, looked absolutely terrible in front of goal. So I just think they lack consistency, if I'm honest with you. And, you know, Don was sort of saying to me and Lawless that they have the best partnership in the Premier League right now with Palmer and Jackson. You know, look, maybe with KDB out injured, that's the case with stats. But let's be real. Look, Jackson's going to score some goals, and Kunku, I think, is actually a better finisher in front of goal. I think Sancho is definitely a good signing for them. And for me, he has to start on the left. I think Neto will come good on the right. I think Palmer will score goals. If they get the balance right in midfield, Caicedo and Lavia, who I think are two really good players, perhaps they can do something to try and get top four. But I have personally got Villa, Liverpool, Arsenal and City finishing above them. And I, like LB, have them fighting for fifth with Spurs and Newcastle and United and all the others. That's what I think. So that's where I'm at. Look, they get carried away. They're so desperate to be back up there. I get that. I've been trying to get back up there for 20 years and win a title, right? So I get it. I do. But you've got to be realistic, man. This Chelsea side, it just isn't good enough to be put in the same bracket as Arsenal and Man City. It just isn't.
It's an interesting one because I think Chelsea have got to really focus on themselves. And what I mean by that is they may improve exponentially from last season. I think they're starting to, they've more than showed those signs. They've only lost 2 games in the Premier League since February. And I do believe you can look back at last season and this season. I don't believe they started a rebuild in the summer. I believe they just changed head coaches. So therefore, I think you can take stock from elements that went on last year. But that still doesn't. I still look like you just said at the other teams. And what I said in my video the other day, I think Chelsea are either back or on their way to being back. And what I mean by that, by the end of the season, I think they're going to be a team that we're going to say, I think they might challenge next year. I think they're going to improve very dramatically this season. One of the things that stood out to me, I was really impressed with, was Maresca's ability to game manage for such a young manager. They went 2-0 up pretty early and then just let West Ham have the ball in certain areas, didn't exhaust themselves, and just almost very boringly in many ways saw the game out comfortably. And that's sensible. I understand that football is about entertainment, but football teams have to be sensible, especially Chelsea that are going to play about 60 to 70 games this year if they do well. They can't be running at 100 miles an hour for all their games. We're in September. You'll burn yourselves out. And I think a manager of his age and experience, having that nous already, it's just, for me, it's like what's the opposite of a red flag? A white flag to go, Jesus Christ, that's really, really good. I also think you're right. I think once they get their team kind of settled and they know who's going to play where, I think they're going to go from strength to strength. Tossing came in. I just think with Tossing's play for them, they just look so much stronger at the back. Sorry, mate, go on.
This is where I have to call Don out again, yeah? Because I said if they got Osimhen, I put them in the top 4. Right? So again, Chelsea fans are not going to like that because that's positive. I put them in the top 4 if they got Osimhen. Yeah. He advocated, yeah, not to sign Osimhen for 300 grand a week or whatever because it would break the wage structure. So as a fan, yeah, you're more bothered about your wage structure than getting into the top 4 and improving and getting high up in the table. It don't make sense, man. And I call Don out this every time I speak to him, man. L take, and now the guys at Galatasaray. I genuinely believe that if they got Osimhen, they would get top 4 this year. I think they're not a million miles away. And then you got Chelsea fans out here saying, "I would rather have Nicholas Jackson up top." Come on, man, come off it. What's going on it now? Potsy, man, it's not even funny anymore.
No, I do understand, yeah. I do understand.
It's funny because they're delusional, bro. It's funny.
But I think they're going to turn into a team that by the end of the season we're looking at as really, really serious. I think they're on that. Right? The Jackson stuff I do find interesting though, because he's done very, very well. But a lot of Chelsea fans always say, but you got Rasmus. And I'm like, I quite like Rasmus, but yeah. And last season, Jackson played 44 games and scored 17 goals. And you're raging about his stats. The man you're slagging off played 43 games and got 16 goals. I don't get it. I agree that Jackson's a better dribbler. He's better at that type of football. But Haaland is a different type of striker. So again, you're comparing an apple with an orange in that regard. I just find some of the talk around it really interesting. That stats matter. So when we threw stats at Don the other week, what we talk about stats to do with a player, and he said, I got eyes. I got blessed with eyes. My eyes tell me so and so is better. But when it comes to Cole Palmer and Jackson, saying that's the best partnership in the Premier League, I sort of think the stats have it up there, but I don't think it's anywhere near KDB and Haaland. I personally don't think.
No, he tried telling me this on Monday, man.
It's not at that level. I think you look at Odegaard and Saka in the last couple of years. I think those as a connection. I just think if someone said to me now, again, Cole Palmer's amazing, I'd sign him at Man United tomorrow. I really would. But if someone said you could sign Odegaard and Saka to come play for you, or Jackson and Palmer, but they have to come as a pair, I'm picking the Arsenal pair. I'm probably not picking City's because KDB's age, and I'm thinking longevity here. But if I could make KDB 5 years younger, I'm picking that one every day of the week.
But I also said if it was a one-season thing.
Yeah, one season thing. Yeah, one season thing. No, of course. So again, I think they're good, but I do find it interesting. Now, this isn't a dig at the two players, but I love how people dismiss stats when it debunks their argument, but they use stats to firm up their argument. That's all I'm gonna put out there. If you're watching, Don,
the thing is,
Chelsea have improved. I agree with that bit.
And I've said this to Don, and look, it's fair enough because I actually agree when Don says that Arsenal fans overhype our players. That's true. There's a lot of Arsenal fans, a section of the Arsenal fans think Saka is a world-class player now and that he's one of the best in the world and Odegaard's this and Saliba's that. I get it, right? I understand there's some that overhype it. But you can't then hate on the Arsenal fans that do that and then tell me that Palmer's better than Saka, Madueke and Mudryk are better than Martinelli, Jackson's better than Havertz. But you can't do that as well at the same time for me. Because that's you then overhyping your players and saying that they're brilliant. Madueke's one of the best. I agree
on the Palmer Saka one, but the rest of them were fair arguments. Like Martinelli's not exactly like a great player, is he?
Yeah, but come on, would you have Mudryk over Martinelli?
Who was
Let's
the
be
other
real.
player? Who was the other player? He said.
Madueke.
I mean, I think they're all kind of mid, but like, I think you
That's
find.
what I'm saying. So you
I
can't,
think you find
Yeah.
a lot of
them
people
players
though.
up,
What's he
is what I'm
saying?
saying.
Just take Madueke over Martinelli. I think you find quite a few people.
What's really interesting is what I do like what Chelsea are doing as well is there's a story that's come out today. I didn't actually make a screenshot of this for the overlay, but that Nkunku, Madueke, and Mihailo Mudryk are all basically being told they're playing for their position. They're playing to stay at the football club. If they don't basically stay fit and or improve by the end of the season and become more consistent, they're gone. And again, some Chelsea fans, I saw replies going, nonsense, bullshit. And I'm like, no, but you don't want that to be bullshit. You should want that to be true. You know, this is something I didn't realize about City until Man United fans started doing our research into Barada. But we found a big interview that Barada did when he was at City, and he spoke about how City have this sort of 18-month to 2-year rule for anyone in any position at the club. It's you within 18 months or 2 years, if you're not delivering, you're gone.
But,
and it doesn't matter.
How is that controversial, though, isn't it, Terry? Like, that is
That's
like
normal.
legit. Like, you know
Bruv,
how this is the
every
problem
business.
with too many fans like get too emotionally
They
attached
do.
to some of these football
They get
players.
sentimental to players. Yeah.
And this is what happens with Rashford, right? At United, he has a good year, right? And we all know it's outperformed expectations rather than like that's his level. He has a couple of dead years, but then United fans are like, no, but maybe if we just keep him, we'll get back to that level. It's like, nah, he's just not that good.
I agree in the sense of like I want Rashford to get back to goal scoring, but I still want us to think about what to do at the end of the year with him, if that makes sense. Because I want him to score this season because I want to, but I now trust the people making our football decisions. And this is where I think, you know, this phrase gets used a lot of the minute, but for me, it is utter woke nonsense to not have a short to medium term time period where people have to impress in any job anywhere in the world. Genuinely, I used to work for a really big bank, and there's a lot of good people that still work there. But there are some, I left that bank 6 to 7 years ago now to pursue my career in YouTube. And there are people that were on the edge of losing their jobs, and they had jobs that they had positions in the organization that it's really important to be competent, and they were incompetent then, and they were almost out the door. 6 years later, they're still there because of but they want to make someone lose their job. Yes, I know they've got kids to feed. I know that people have got these things, but it's like, think about the customers, right? Think about the customers who they're continually letting down because they're bad at their jobs. There has to be a balance in this. I think if I hire an editor who keeps doing a bad job, I'm not just going, he might get it right one day. There's going to come a point where I'm letting them go. And I think that football clubs, with the amount we pay footballers as well, let's not go down the road of, someone's got, I do get it in a working class environment. Somebody's got rent, mortgage to pay, got kids to feed. I understand it to a much bigger degree. But with professional footballers who are already multi-millionaires, this idea of what they're going to do when they get sold, they're going to get paid millions of pounds somewhere else as well. Chelsea have to do this. And I think it's absolutely right what Chelsea are doing here by saying to these players have all been there a year, 2 years already. You've got until the end of this season to prove to us you're not good enough to be in this Chelsea team. You've got to be good enough to help us win Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues. And if you're not, we are going to move you on.
Correct.
And that is absolutely right thing for Chelsea to do.
There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, yeah, these owners have spent, 1.5 billion quid. They want to win. Like, well, did they want to win? I don't know if I would have done the same strategy, but like, I guess you don't spend 1.5 billion quid if you don't want to win trophies, right? Otherwise, it's a bit weird. So yeah, 100%, man. Like, Chelsea are well within the rights to go to all them players and say, listen, if you don't perform, you're going. You're gone. Yeah. See you later. Like, it's not controversial. We need to normalize it more. You know, like I say, too many fans get attached to the players. Do I get attached to my own players? Yeah, probably do. I'm not saying like it's everyone else or not me. I probably get attached to my own players. I probably overhype my own players. That's what we all do, yeah? But like the club, because the clubs are the ones that are supposed to be not invested and not emotional in these players because that's their job, yeah? They need to be telling these players, if you don't perform, you're out the door. No hard feelings.
We're in the same boat as well, man. We're in the same boat as well, where we're getting attached, and we were in the summer. Oh, I like Reece and I like Smith Rowe, and Eddie's a hailing boy. Yeah, they are, but we've moved on from Champions League now. Like, you know, Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko are another two that we might have to move on from quicker than perhaps we even thought, because we're in a title race now, and Manchester City got rid of them because they weren't good enough. maybe we might have to as well. So look, we're in that position as well. I think that's absolutely right. When I see people in the chat saying the mighty Chelsea are back, like, it's laughable. It's absolutely laughable. Chelsea being back means they have to win titles. This season, they should be winning a title and a League Cup, and that Conference Cup thing should be an absolute must, in my opinion, for them anyway.
Yeah, they got.
So
They got
that's
to
a
win that.
must. You must. Like Chelsea, you must. So look, I look at it and I think it is a position where they are not back. Nicholas Jackson is not Didier Drogba, and what's his name in the middle? Caicedo is not Frank Lampard. Until those things happen, they will be in a position where potentially they can be winning titles and winning trophies, and we can go, God, Chelsea have got themselves back now. They are not back now. They are just miles away still.
I hear you on that. I hear that opinion.